Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the Made Remarkable podcast hosted by Kelly Wynn. In today's episode, Kelly is inviting back Delight Rogers, a renowned artist known for her exceptional mixed media art. Delight shares how she started in the Remarkable League and the acceleration and growth she has seen in her business in just a year. Delight shares how her bravery and willingness to take risks has led her to numerous opportunities and achievements, from being featured in a magazine to securing collaborations and partnerships. Check out the show notes and transcripts for more information about Delight, exclusive promotional offers, and any special links mentioned during the episode. Kelly loves connecting with listeners, so don't be shy. Reach out on social media, and together let's build a community that celebrates the remarkable. If you want to be notified every time a new episode hits the airwaves, just hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Do you want to learn more about simplifying your systems, attracting the right customer, and embracing the remarkable potential within you and your business? Connect with Kelly. Learn more about Kelly's Build It Remarkable program by going to maderemarkable.com/wait. Thank you for joining us today, and always remember, you are made remarkable, destined to achieve the unimaginable. Now, let's get to the good part. Introducing Kelly Wynn and Delight Rogers.
Well, hello. I'm Kelly Wynn, artist, author, mentor, fiercely independent mother and wife, and the founder of a multiple six-figure creative business. And I love my life, but I've been where you're at. I was slogging away at this art business thing for more than a decade. But once I finally connected with my true calling, unlocked the magic of marketing, and built a system that could scale, well, I realized I could make an impact and make a substantial income. I'm finally running a business that I love, and it makes all the difference in the world. My biggest dream is to help you do the same. Let this podcast be the catalyst to your biggest success. You already have it in you because you are made remarkable. Hello, Delight. It's fun to have you back on the podcast.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for having me back on the podcast. It's a favorite podcast of mine, so to get to be on it is always an honor.
Thank you. I know that when you were back on, there was a lot of people interested in what you were doing, especially your background with digging in Greece and all kinds of fun stuff. So anyone who hasn't listened to the previous interview with Delight, we're going to link it for you. So you've got to go back to that episode and hear her origin story. But today we're here to just talk about what's life like for Delight a year later.
Right. I guess it has been a year. Interesting. Life is really different. It's the same in some ways. I'm still working really hard. I still have kind of the same goals in mind, but they're always changing a bit and needing to be reevaluated. But looking at where I am now from where I was a year ago, it's one of those, the mind blown emoji needs to pop up right now because that's what it feels like.
For sure. Just as a refresher, you came in kind of at ground zero when you joined me in the league, and here you are establishing a complete brand with your own voice and your own courses and the way that you guide people through creating art. And you've had a lot of really cool things happen since that, starting at zero and now accelerating your growth.
I have, and I think a lot of it, well, it's two main things. Okay, I'm going to say there's more than two. Let's start with two, is putting myself out there, making myself vulnerable, and just saying, what the heck? Let's see what happens. Because if it doesn't happen, that really doesn't impact me too much. But if it does happen, how cool would that be?
That bravery has been astounding. Like, I've never known anyone who starts and just goes all in. For some reason, so many creatives, business owners, artists feel like they have to get to a perfect point, have all these credentials, and like you do have all of that, but you've only been in the official quote unquote business sphere for a little over a year. And you were like, I'm just going all in. And that has been something I admire you for so much, taking those huge risks. And let's talk about what those payoffs have been.
So payoffs are pretty huge. I was looking at my numbers before I got online with you, just because the numbers don't lie. They're not the whole story, but they're part of the story, and they're really concrete markers to see where you were, where you're at. So When I just started an Instagram account when we started together last April 2023. I had, I think, 600 or 700 people on it. I now have almost 5,000.
Right?
And I've had more than 2,000 people do my one course, Mini Muse Makers. And my mailing list is just over 2,600 from zero. I did
From
not
zero.
have a mailing list. Well, maybe I had 6 or 7 people,
Well,
something
but
like that.
yeah.
So those are some of the markers. I've had just over 450 people do paid courses of mine as well.
Yep.
So those numbers tell a story, a big story of, yes, lots of hard work, but a whole bunch of success as a result of the hard work.
Right. And so to clarify, I really believe that having a voice in your work and how you have a style and having the experience as an artist is an important foundation. You had all of that. But the
Yeah.
business part, you were at ground zero.
Yeah.
You had just decided to take a leave of absence as a teacher and you went all in on it. And you have been so incredibly dedicated. But in 1 year, this is how much you've been able to accomplish. But the numbers are the only a small part of it. You've also had incredible opportunities, and it just gives me chills thinking about it. Because this is everyone's dream to say, oh, maybe if I do this for 10 years, I'll be worthy enough. But the fact that you said, I'm taking a risk and I'm putting myself out there, even if the answer is no, and you're getting yeses.
Yeah,
Why?
shockingly. I mean, when I
Shockingly, well, you're talented. So that part is, we can set that part
that
aside.
helps.
Yes. And you've learned how to have a clear voice and vision for what you're doing. That helps. But
Yeah,
taking the risk is the part that most people wouldn't do.
right. And I mean, I did have the background of nearly 15 years of creating mixed media art. I have been a classroom teacher for 15 years. So I had those pieces and I knew what I wanted to do. I had like the visceral, like whole body feeling of this is what I need to do. So I did have all that, which helps. And I just, for example, submitting my art, my photographs to Where Women Create. It was like, why not? It was fun to take the photographs. My background, my very first career, I was a photographer. And now they have all sorts of cool tools so you can take pictures of yourself and videos of yourself very easily. So doing that was fun anyway. And then sending in the pictures was just, it's just a why not? Let's just do this. And to get the response I did, that they loved my art and they loved the energy of it all and wanted to work with me, but wanted me to create something for a certain section of the magazine, the Pet Tales section, was just thrilling. Like I was like, is this real?
So you had submitted to Where Women Create, which many people know is one of the preeminent magazines of highlighting women artists and their studios. And it is a coveted thing to get into. And you have several pages, spreads, beautiful
8 pages.
photos,
My
8
dog and
pages
I had
of
to
you.
share it with my dog.
You did share it with your dog, which was adorable. But let's also be honest, there's you and all of your art and a
Yeah.
real strong feature for who you are. That's amazing.
Yeah, it felt pretty great. That's for sure.
And you've also put your neck out there and requested to be in big collaborations.
Yeah, yeah. And again, with approaching Drew for the Collage Maker Summit, I had it on like a to-do list of those things when I'm feeling brave. These are things I'm going to do. And I took it off the list because it had been on there about 2 months and I thought, I'm not going to do that. That's silly. That's not going to happen. And one morning I was feeling brave. I got home from walking my dog and I just sat down and sent Drew an email and just said, like, I know it's a long shot, but here's what I bring to the table. Like, just no pressure, but just consider me. And I was looking ahead to 2025 for that run of the Collage Maker Summit. And I got an email back from him, I think it was right away. And he just said, I just had someone back out. You're in. And again, it was like, is this real? Like, is this
Real.
like, so he's talking 2024 right now. He wants me to be a part of this. So again, it was just, yeah, pretty fantastic. A couple other ones, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be public knowledge anyway. I talked to Francisca Nunes, who has the Flowers Magic Fest, and again, I didn't know the response. I was sort of making, apologizing. I don't have big numbers. I don't have this. I don't have that. But here's my art. Here's what I'd like to do. And again, got a positive response and a yes, we'd love to have you. I mean, she actually said, I didn't think you'd even be interested in doing something like this because it's a little different than the kind of art I create and the work I do. I don't do a lot of art journaling and smaller things like that. So just again, a huge, amazing surprise and such a compliment to be welcomed in.
I love Flowers Magic Fest. Yeah, I think she's opening the doors for that right now as we're speaking. So
That's right. And that's why I think by next week, even
yeah,
this will all be public knowledge.
it's public
Yeah,
knowledge. It's super fun, but it does make sense. It's like you just released a course, which we'll talk about in a minute, but flowers are on your radar. You do create a lot with
I do.
flowers. So it makes total sense that you're working with Francesca. I love that. You also, as I understand, got invited to
Yeah.
participate in a big summit. And that's when it goes from I'm putting myself out there to I've been putting myself out there enough that I'm getting noticed and now people are asking me.
Yeah,
It's a pretty cool summit that you're involved in. Tell us about
it
that.
is. So it's called Creative Life Redesign. And what they ran, it was a 3-day online retreat. And there were 22 women who were interviewed and did art demos and things like that throughout the 3 days. And these are women, some of them were artists, mixed media artists, some were art therapy coaches, a lot of different credentials, but
And
all
many that are pretty well known in the
very well
industry.
known. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was among some of the people I most admire in the industry.
Yeah.
So, and it was like that in Collage Maker Summit as well. So women who were involved in art and in wellness and how the two overlap and interplay and the power of them. So I was a good fit for it, but I was so shocked that I had to double check and do some internet research when I got the offer to see if it was actually legit. Is it real? Is this, is
Is
this,
somebody scamming me? No.
yeah, like what's the catch here? But there wasn't a catch. And I
No.
went ahead and did that. And it was a positive experience beginning to end. And I learned a lot from the other women who were on the panel, and hopefully there'll be other events coming up that I'll be a part of for that as well. And one of the questions when I had the initial interview with Amy Kelson, who organized it and was the host, I said, how did you find me? Because that was sort of the big
Of
thing in my
course.
mind. How did because that's my area that's where my heart is, art and
Right.
wellness intertwined. And so I loved that I was coming up in that realm. And so she found me on a Google search. She said I certainly wasn't on the first page or the second page, but she was taking her time and really sort of deep diving into who's out there and what are they doing. And that's how she found me. So that was another big milestone. There's been a
Okay,
lot.
and so that also comes to the power of making a decision on, we normally call a niche, and don't resist this, folks, but your specialty, what you're known for, whatever you want to call it, but you knew what you wanted to be known for from the moment that we began, how you were going to develop it, how the whole marketing around it, how you were going to make courses, whatever. That was all still to be decided, but you knew that there was like this deep, like soulful journey you wanted to take people on through their creativity. Definitely art and wellness and all that language comes out in everything that you do. And so by being able to say, this is what I want to be known for, and this is who I serve, and this is how I'm helping them, and then putting it in the language of everything you do, your website, your social media, everything, that means people can find you. This is the reason why I am so adamant that the more we can specialize, the more we can niche, the more likely we are to be found. And that's proof in the pudding right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely knew where my heart was as far as what I wanted to do and how I wanted to present the art workshops I created. And part of it was that that's the art and the art that I'm making as well. It's the art that comes out of me. It's often female figures are involved and it's a lot of layering and, an emotional journey with using personal items, and it's a whole it is a journey, and each piece of art I make, I go through that journey, and it's a healing journey, and it's an important journey, I think, for any artist. And I knew that was in me, that was what it was all about for me, so I knew that had to be what I was going forward with. And in some ways, when it's that true, when you just know all over, you know that's what you
Yeah.
want to be doing, it's somehow easier maybe. So the messaging and what you're creating, how you're creating it, what you're sharing, how you're sharing it, it all is cohesive, because it's that thing that's your thing. And
Yeah.
that in some ways makes it easier, because if I would think about maybe this would be better, or maybe this would be received, would be more popular, maybe I could make more progress in this way. But if it wasn't my thing, it would be a lot more work to be creating the package and the language and the work and tapping into the right people, because it
And even
wouldn't
having
feel
the
as genuine.
motivation.
Oh, huge. Yeah. Yeah. So that's been an important part for me, is just if I just follow my gut instincts and follow what's most important to me, and just keep putting that out there.
Well, that's really special because a lot of people come into my programs or they're artists and they're still trying to find their voice, which takes a long time. It takes a while to develop and know. But I think it's really special that you came in knowing in the core of who you are exactly what you wanted to be doing and how you were going to follow through with that and stay true to yourself. And when you do that, as it's showing, it is easier to show up. It is easier to talk about it. It is easier to have the confidence to guide other people through it. So I think it's just knowing yourself, which maybe it takes a long road to get there. It took a long road for me to get there. But when you get to that place, staying true to yourself is what keeps you taking those leaps and bounds faster than I think anyone else would. I think
Mhm.
there's real power in staying true to your core.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it is age. I'm 52. I definitely didn't have things figured out maybe until, I don't know, I feel like my 40s, I started to figure life out. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not like, I've always known or anything, but I'm at that point where age is part of it, that I have a pretty clear idea of who I am, what's important to me, and what I want to put out there into the world. And then the other piece to that is that I did have to stop teaching, well, and went on medical leave, because I wasn't being true to myself, and I was pushing myself too much, and I wasn't taking care of myself. And as a result, I made myself really sick. And so
Mhm.
prior to us working together, I'd already been off teaching for a year. And that year had just been solely just healing and recovering and building myself back up. And the central part of that was creating art. Art was the thing, it was the healing, it was the working through stuff, self-expression. It was a positive focus for me. So I had that piece too, that I'd been on a journey where I'd really kind of hit a tough place and had built myself back up. And in that process, you become even clearer about who you are and what matters.
That's like, I feel that. Like when you're talking about that, like I can feel it here in my gut rather than just cerebrally, because I understand completely what you're talking about. And especially the growth that comes with age, which seems like we're having these conversations ask more and more. And there's a reason why. I mean, it's kind of the moment where it's like, it's kind of a shame we had to wait until we turned 50 till we got our shit together. But at the same time, like, it's so freaking liberating to finally take that breath and say, you know what? I know I can do it my way. I don't have to keep following the rules, quote unquote, anymore. And you're proving that too over and over again.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fact that you've been in a development mode of your signature program. You're going to make a few shifts, but one thing that I encourage always, instead of pre-record everything to make whatever kind of course, membership, whatever, is do a test run of whatever your idea is, whatever it is that you want to offer to the world. Do a test run, or some say beta or beta for you all in Europe and UK. do a test run with a smaller group and get the feedback. And then, of course, you ended up loving that intimacy of teaching live with a small group. And then the next time you went to launch it, you offered it the same way, but got some feedback that says, I like this, but either I'm not sure if I want to do faces, or I'd really love to learn your mixed media techniques. And do you have this pre-recorded? And so it started you thinking, like, how can I develop this, as we've been working on it inside the league? How do we develop our business model that feels true and aligned to us? So you're making a few shifts, which means you're going to take this, which I totally encourage because it's so high touch. Personal portraits needs to be a very specialized, high touch experience, something unique, and stay that way rather than mass produced. So you're bringing in a new layer, which is soulful stories, so that people can really get into how you operate from the soul, just like you've been saying this whole time, how you infuse yourself into all the layers of mixed media and the magic that you make on canvas. And when you create this course, it's going to be more of open to a lot of people. Whereas personal portraits needs to be a smaller handful because you're working so intimately with them. I'm really excited that you made this shift so that you have something that you can keep special without taking personal portraits and turning it into a big behemoth of a signature course where people might get lost in the fray, because I feel like it's so personal. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
personal portraits. So I'm really excited for Soulful Stories because it's creating this like layered, I like to call an offer orbit within your business that makes it feel cohesive. Everything goes together. And we've been working on this, talking through this idea. The goal for that is this fall. But in the meantime, you have done something that I don't see many people who are new in business take risk at, which is you've created a couple little small offers that you're actually experimenting with running ads to. And I think that's brave and encouraging to others to say, when you dial in on who you are and what you want to do, let's keep working on these small little like connector offers that help get people to know who you are and learn what you do.
Yeah, yes. So my wings workshop, I ran an ad to for almost 2 months, a Facebook ad, and had really great success with that, to the point where it averaged out to almost pretty a sale a day. So that's how I have had over 400 people purchase that course.
That's so cool.
And yeah, and that was great. I'm thinking about doing something similar to that with a different course over the summer, because it has a few different residual effects. People are finding me. People
Yes.
are going to my site. They might sign up for my newsletter. People may not purchase that course, but they end up registering and doing my free offer, the mini
Yeah.
muse makers. And sometimes after that, they come back and do the wings workshop. They follow me on different social media, on YouTube. So, I mean, it's not just those purchases that I'm getting, which are great and end up paying for the ads, which is ideal, but they have all these other positive impacts on growing the business as well.
Yeah. But so many people are scared to use paid advertisement, and yet it frees you up so much of your time and helps you find a whole new fresh audience, especially because you're so very clear about who that person is. It really helps you dial in. Well, let's talk about this new little mini offer that you have that just released. It's an evergreen product people can join anytime, and it's called Flower Child.
Yeah,
And it's
flower
super
child.
cute and it's pretty straightforward. You learn mixed media techniques, and in the end, you have a finished product.
Absolutely. So it's mostly collage and assemblage techniques, because we're actually, the flower bouquet that we're building in the figure's hair is essentially, it becomes 3D because it's all the different layers and different things. So it's a chance to go a little deeper into mixed media, collage, and the assemblage and the layering process, and telling a story through your art again, because this is a bit of a personal, it's kind of the idea is you're accessing your inner flower child, or tapping into
Mhm.
memories of when you were younger and you wore flowers in your hair. But yeah, it's really sweet, and I think it's accessible and open to anyone. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to already have explored collage at all. It's just very fun, very free, very open and tactile, and just it's just room for play and low skill level.
And your base purpose of helping people tap into themselves, into their soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just the joy of just creating.
Yes.
And that's what I love about mixed media, is it really has that freedom to it, that there aren't really any rules, there aren't really any mistakes. It's just for you, and the outcome is nice and you can enjoy it, but the process is really what it's all about.
Yeah, I love it. So, what would you say has been your biggest aha over the last year of working with me in the league? I want to clarify one more time for everyone. I have the same training in two different formats. And Build It Remarkable, it's a larger audience with less hands-on from me. And the league, we learn the same thing, but it's a small group, so we get to work more intimately together.
Mhm. Well, there's a few things that would be on the top of the list. I mean, there's a lot, but one is just the importance of having someone to support you or guide you. That
Mhm.
to try to do it on your own, maybe you can do it, and for sure it's going to take a lot longer, but
Mhm.
to get the help and the guidance you need, it expedites everything. It gives you that clear path, it gives you the input of someone with experience so that you can move forward in the right direction and not have any sort of, sideways moves that are, oh, that wasn't right, try this, oh, that wasn't right, try this. Not that that doesn't happen, but someone who can circumvent a lot of that, which is,
Right.
what you offered. And then the other big one would be the community. Having that kind of creative community, it's just priceless. And the shared experience of gives you that understanding of just what the journey is, and that no matter where you are in the journey, it's still the same. It's hard work. It can feel incredibly good, or it can get really hard, and seeing people have all those same struggles with balancing life and health and personal art making and their art business, and in that's a continual struggle, and that it's something that you have to continually be checking on and reevaluating.
Mhm.
And if you're on your own with your art business, you don't necessarily know that, and to not know that, I think would be not a good place to be.
Right. That's, I think, when people give up, when they don't have the support they need. I think that was the biggest thing missing for me for so many years was the community of other people who were trying to do what I was doing. And I had no peers in the industry, no one to really talk to. And one of the biggest reasons why I created what I created was I really want artists who are in business to have the resources that they need and to have colleagues, working from home, doing your own thing without actually having other people to talk to. It could be maddening, very much so. And so when you've created your own network of friends and colleagues, it's really exciting.
It absolutely is. Yeah. And another aha would just be that there is a formula, very loose. I'm using that word very loosely, but there is a formula, steps you can take, that if you do them and you stay consistent and you're willing to work hard, and take the input you're getting, learn from things that aren't going well, you can get to where you envision yourself being. And
This is something that I work on really hard. I tried to break down the parts of building a business into formulas that are digestible, if you will, for the creative
mhm,
brain, like simplifying it, making systems out of it, making it something you can do consistently without burning out, and making it so, like, okay, I know that if I do this and I do this, then next thing I know, I'm growing my email list. If I do this and I do this, next thing I know, I have customers for my course. If I do this and I do this, I'll be getting invited to the big events, right? So
mhm.
it's like there's certain steps that, and I've really tried to create it. And of course, I will admit the league helped me develop those points of view because I knew the steps, but in order to break it down into a formula that was easy to repeat, that was what the league helped me do, you know? And so now I see the success over and over again with everyone who puts it into place.
Yeah, and that's part of being in the community as well, is seeing all sorts of people, other art business entrepreneurs that are in very different places, but that are all have been through all those steps or are moving through those steps again and again in their business journey. And that just to see, so you've got all those living examples.
Yeah, because it doesn't really matter how long you've been in business, you come back to this over and over again.
Yeah.
Because you're always in a place of creation, understanding, putting the systems in place, and then another period of growth again where you need to like, okay, now where am I at? Let's look at this again. Let's make sure everything's still functioning. And I can't tell you how many people come in to work with me who've been doing it longer than me, who still haven't done some of these basic things. And it just absolutely revolutionizes how they're doing it and makes it so much easier. Like, you really are lucky because you got in on the ground floor and didn't have to tear the whole thing down to build it up. You got to build it with a strong, steady foundation from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do feel really lucky that way, that just right from the beginning, I had your guidance and all the input of everyone else in the group to learn from. I think it made it a lot easier.
Well, I'm going to say to this day, Delight, and I've said it before and I will say it again, I am so grateful for you, because the reason I am doing what I'm doing now, or at least that I finally took the chance to do what I'm doing now, because I had always intended to help other business owners, but it was because you sent me a message that you're like, I am just waiting for you to make an offer. And I'm like, oops, see, that's me stuck in my own imposter syndrome. That's me stuck doubting myself. And to just have one person who says, I believe in you and you're exactly what I'm looking for, was like the kick in the pants that I needed. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's me. I need to do that. And so
That's
after
awesome.
I got that message from you, Delight, I said, all right, here's the Remarkable League. I'm putting it out there. And it's been an absolute incredible pleasure to be able to work with you, because I have loved seeing your growth. I love knowing who you are and how you show up in the world. I love your artwork. And I feel probably 10 times more fortunate to have you than maybe you even do to have me.
Oh, no, I'm going to get all emotional on that one.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I'm
that's
very
incredible.
attached to the people that I've gotten to work with, because I am so freaking fortunate to have the most amazing people around me. I can't believe I pinch myself every day that I work with people like you and Kat and Drew and Robin Marie. And when I get to like see your life thrive, I'm like, it's my joy. It's my absolute joy and pleasure. And I am just going to be eternally grateful for that one little message that gave me the kick in the butt I needed.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, I knew, for me, I just knew what you had to offer was exactly what I needed. And I knew I was at that point where I needed that. I needed that kind of guidance. I tried some other online art business courses and they just hadn't given me what I needed. But I knew that what you had to offer, what you talked about and what you talked about in your weekly podcast, that was it. And so I was anxiously waiting. But the growth and the confidence I've built, which I'm sure you can see as well over the past year, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's incredible. I just feel really lucky to have found you and that you were willing to invite me in, even though I was at ground zero, as you said, and take a chance on that. Yeah, just really grateful and love everything that's happened so far. And I'm so excited about a second year working with you.
Thank you. And also, who would have ever thought when you were back there listening to the podcast that you'd be on it not once, but twice now?
Yeah, I would never have thought that. So,
yeah. But this is my message to the greater audience is you're already made remarkable. You're worthy. I'm not better than anyone else. I am just looking for all of those shining lights, and I want to just help you guys keep shining. So
that's amazing. Well, and I mean, you're the keeper of a lot of knowledge and experience, and your willingness to share that with other people that aren't quite there yet or need some redirection. What you're doing is so generous, and it's moving so many people forward in their business world and their lives. So yeah.
Yes, thank you so much
for that. Yeah.
All right, everyone, Delight Rogers. Yes, that's her real name, which is perfect for her. Delight Rogers art, you've got to go and try Flower Child or your Wings course because you're going to get a lot out of it, and also it's feel good. And go say hi to her in her Instagram account and let her know that you enjoyed this podcast episode as much as I did.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. It was great to catch up.
Yep, you too. Thanks.